Welcome back to the show. There's no telling where we'll go. So come and share a laugh on the Imp and Skizz podcast.
We got a familiar face back on. We got Claire Cook back on the show.
Welcome back.
Very excited.
I'm so excited.
I know. We're happy to have you. I think it was 15 months ago that we had you on.
Has it been that long?
15
Time
months.
just absolutely flies.
I'm telling you
It's
right
crazy.
now, if you asked me, I would have thought it was maybe 6 months ago. Then we had to look it up. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
It was that long ago. So you are back, and we're going to not assume everybody knows who you are. And I'm going to ask you to give us your elevator pitch on who you are and what you do for all the new people.
Amazing. So yes, I'm Claire. Last name is Cook. Claire Cook. I own a business called Clarity Concepts, and I help people basically find their ideal body and fix habits so we create a better lifestyle overall. And that can be anything that you want to improve. So I help people do time management, or obviously nutrition, or you're, a mom and life is crazy and you're just like, I don't know how to just basically manage myself and sleep better and all that stuff. I work with people to do kind of all those major lifestyle, things that we do. But outside of that, I was a teacher for a really long time. I taught middle school for 17 years. And that, I think, for sure helped with Clarity now, because I love data. I love to teach. I love to educate. But I bring that up because it was so monumental for what I do now. Mm-hmm. And then, married, mom of 2 young daughters, and just living the dream.
Good. That's good to hear, because the teaching background, the science background was so huge, because you're very data driven, as you've stated, right? So now when we had you on, so you're a life coach, you're a macros coach, you're a coach. We work out at the same gym, and I'm watching you actual run whole class. Have I told you this? I'm actually watching her run whole classes.
Oh yeah, you mentioned that, but I didn't know you're class instructor.
Yeah,
That's cool. Okay,
that kind of fell in my lap very recently.
I was thinking personal trainer one-on-one type thing, but you're leading classes.
Yep, leading classes,
cool.
And what I'm really loving is I get to really teach women how to lift. Some men come to my class. We're getting a little higher there, but I get to teach them how to strength train and understand why, really push themselves, really challenge themselves. I'm a big rowing fan, so I'm teaching people how to row.
It's the number one reason I don't want to go to. I hate rowing, and I'm tall.
You're so good at it.
I know.
He's so
really
good at it.
fast on a rower.
I'm good, but I still hate it so
kick
much.
my butt at CrossFit every time we'd have to row against each other.
That's it's just because I'm tall. That is seriously, rowing is a tall man's game.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
And I love it. It's been really cool. Anytime I can just educate and improve somebody, I'm in.
But you're also in the trenches. You're actually working out with them while you guys are doing it, which is, I got to tell you right now, when I used to coach CrossFit, I would maybe demo a couple moves before the workout started, and I'd be out of breath trying to yell at the class. And I'm like, this sucks. And you're in the class, and you got your voice up there, and you're working out. It's
that's got to be so hard to talk while you're actually working out with them.
It's, the PE years helped a ton. I had a class one time in middle school of 90 kids, and the teachers were out, and I just had to figure it out and do it. And I'm like, we're in a gym setting, right? So I was like, all right, well, let's go. I love challenges. So I was like, well, thank you, PE background, because this is nothing really compared to that.
Am I remembering that wrong? I thought...
No, it was. You were absolutely right. 14 years in science.
Oh, okay. You did do
science. And the last 3 was in PE.
Got it. Okay. I was like, I must be remembering that wrong. Okay, there it is.
The most perfect blend ever.
Yeah.
That works out great.
Let's dive in. How has your business changed at all since you were on the show? And tell us about that.
Okay, your viewers, first of all, I'm obsessed. That opportunity opened a door I didn't even know existed, to be able to relate to people that, love gaming and, love the content creation situation, but tend to maybe be a little more sedentary. Mm-hmm. I didn't know I'd make that kind of a connection. I got so many reach outs from that first podcast with you.
That's awesome. Don't you love that?
And I just got to, I do free consults, right? So I was like, oh my gosh, let's have a conversation. I want to know what's going on with you. I want to know what your goals are. And I got, I think 15 clients just from that first podcast. And I got to keep most of them for 6 months, because it just kind of depends, but most of them needed that long. And Oh my gosh. The transformations we had were unreal. I can't wait to get into it. It just changed even my mindset. I'd never been challenged like that with certain people that came to me with all the things that they needed to change and wanted to change. The data, I'm such a data. I'm just like, I could show you the data. It was so beautiful and just proves that like what I do with people is like the way to do it to get that transformation. It was probably the most rewarding year because it was so cup filling every single day. And I don't know, it's just kind of mind blowing, to be honest.
Yeah.
What happened last year.
That's amazing. So now how did you have remote clients before that, or did you have to adapt to that?
No, pretty much everyone's been remote. If I can get a local client, I kind of get extra excited because then I can see you.
Okay. So
Literally.
you already had that ingrained in your business to do so. Okay.
Yeah,
very
that's
good.
just always been a thing. It'd be like on Zoom or whatever. That way I could just be more broad.
Yeah.
And that's been fine. But if I can get a local, I mean, that's even cooler. It's just not normal. I normally get people from like the East Coast and the Midwest.
Oh, wow.
It's kind of random, but yeah, that's where most people pull from for some
Sure.
odd reason. So we figure out the time change and it's no big deal. But then I got people from Canada. I had someone from the UK, someone from Australia.
Whoa.
So it
How did
went
you
because
manage
of you.
That's
Australia,
that's a
dude.
time
Yes.
zone. That's got to be rough time zone wise for Australia, right?
Yeah, it was pretty incredible. I mean, people are listening all over the world. So that was pretty crazy, but it just became great. I'll just talk to you at 6 a.m. if, you're a 10-hour difference. Like, we'll make it work.
That's cool.
If I can make it work.
So are you able to do like video calls so you can like still see each other kind of face to face?
We do Google Meet.
Oh, nice.
It's been easier. Yeah, it's been really lovely. So it's like anytime, anywhere. It's been great. And then I usually do like Signal text messaging if you're out of the US. So that's been nice.
Okay.
And then otherwise it's just easier. So yeah, it just works. It doesn't matter where you are.
Now, are you, was it mostly for macros coaching or life coaching or hybrid or what was it?
Great question. Most people come to me for weight loss,
Yeah.
which is totally fine. It evolves though. You come to me for weight loss and then you realize actually that wasn't the most important thing that I needed and wanted. Maybe it was mindset change. I
Yeah.
needed to learn how to just have a better relationship with food. I didn't know half of this stuff before. For a lot of people, it was getting rid of really negative habits that no longer served them in order to be successful in those other areas. So it was about how do we get rid of this action, but replace it with something that's going to benefit you more.
Yeah.
And I love to just try to pull from my own experience. I'm 42, so it's not like I'm the oldest person in the world, but like, gosh, I've taught in an affluent school. I taught in a super inner city school. I've had so many walks of life come to me. And then I'm a mom, right? I had to go through infertility. Like there's a lot of cool adversity things and things I've been exposed to. I love to travel whenever I can all over the place. So I feel like I'm able to bring to the table a lot of that. And that helps people like, oh, like moms, you have permission to take care of you.
Yeah.
Women don't hear that.
Yeah.
It's like, yes, you can. I do it all the time. And I still see my kids, it's like those simple little things, people forget that they're allowed to care about themselves.
There's a lot of gravity there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of gravity there. And that was because when I first, I was out of the gym for a while when I first just like started going back. It's been like, 5 months or whatever. Went back and it was this weird decision I made. I wasn't going to go to the gym because I hadn't gone to the gym in a while. I was going to go to the gym because for the first time in countless years, I was like, I'm going to actually give myself 2 hours a day. Every second of every minute of every hour belongs to somebody else. And it's been that way for how many decades I've lost sight. I belong to somebody else at all times. And I'm like, I'm going to give 2 hours a day to me. That's mine. And so it's been a Monday through Friday gig, which is why you're seeing me there every single day, because that is, it was a mindset change in regards to this is my time and nobody's going to get, and my business has actually suffered because of it. And I'm fine with it because I'm like, this is something I'm absolutely pulled the lever on and I'm going to do this now.
Yeah.
So I have to do it.
I think for me, it got to a point to where I realized that my business was suffering because I wasn't taking care of myself. Because I wasn't performing my best. My brain wasn't working as well. My energy wasn't as good as it could have been. And I realized that if I take those 2 hours to take care of myself, that it will make up for it in the long run because I'll have more energy to get more done, and I'll be better, because what we do, we're on camera and we're talking a lot. My brain will work better, and words will actually come out that I want to come out, hopefully more often. And then I realized that it's totally worth it. Like I'm going to make that sacrifice there for myself so that I can do better elsewhere. And that was a tough thing to realize because it does feel like that. My business is suffering because I'm dedicating 2 hours to myself. But if you kind of just twist that perception of it to like what I just said, then all of a sudden it all kind of clicks and it's like, oh, this is so worth it.
Yeah. But you also end up, but there's not enough can be said about the benefit, the intrinsic benefit that comes from the confidence buildup. You know what I mean? Feeling better is one thing, but feeling better about yourself is an entirely different dynamic because you feel better about yourself. And then also you have the education now that you can change anything that you want to change as long as you get some commitment. Claire, I want to hear success stories.
Okay.
Since the last time.
Well, that you mentioned mindset. I always ask when we start the program, I'm like, when you are looking in the mirror, I want to know what you're saying. Like, let's be really honest about this because we can't change what you're not going to acknowledge.
Yeah.
I want you to get really real and very vulnerable. I'm not judging you, but I need you to say it out loud. And I have them even sometimes close their eyes and picture themselves looking in the mirror. And those are really hard things to say. The shame, the ew, the disgust that people have just at who they are. Maybe not even what they look like necessarily always, but they're just not happy or they're sad or they're really depressed or things are just not going well. And then at the end of the program, it's insane. That's my favorite part because the story changes over time. The shame comes down. The confidence starts to come out and you're like, gosh, I just did something really hard. I persevered through that. Even all those tiny little, I didn't want to, I didn't have enough time. I didn't have enough whatever, but it's like, gosh, it made you a better person literally in every way. Not just like, are you better coworkers now too? Like, right?
Yeah.
Even together, you're like, you're happier, you're whatever. I mean, it literally bleeds into everything, right? That you do. So success stories, oh my goodness. I'll probably start with my male who I don't have many males come to me, but because of you, he's like, they said you're great, I'm in. He was monumental. I had him for 24 weeks. He came to me at 409 pounds.
Oh my goodness.
He's 6'4", but that's still pretty overweight, right? You're morbidly obese at this point. In addition to the weight loss that he saw, he was rock bottom, mentally, emotionally. He had been pretty depressed for a while. He was married, has a son who's 7. And I could totally relate that because my oldest is 7 as well. And so we could connect there. He had not been to a doctor in 17 years, which stressed me out, to be honest, a little bit, because I don't do medical. That's above my scope of practice. And so I told him, like, I can do the things that you're asking for. Like, we can get you the weight loss. We'll get you a better relationship with food. We can get you moving again, because he was very sedentary. He loved to play video games. He worked from home, so he wasn't getting out very much. He obviously felt very embarrassed, so he didn't want to be around people. The antisocial had crept in. That was a COVID, I think, overflow as well, because he'd been years. Then the depression seeking in, he's eating for his emotions, right? The whole butterfly effect of things. And so I said, yeah, I can handle a lot of that. I was like, but you need to get to a doctor. We need to get your blood pulled. I want to know what your vitals are because you're in a very serious range. We can't mess around with that.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay. It was like, you have to go. So I was like, just find a PCP and go. So he did. And, his blood came back better than we thought, but it was still, like high cholesterol, which I assumed. His blood pressure was pretty high. So they wanted to put him on medication for that. He rejected. I told him, I think you should, just because this is not stuff you mess around with. Like, this is stroke level stuff. We don't want to play. And he's like, I appreciate it. He's like, but no, I want to do this the right way. I want to do this the natural way. And I was like, okay. I was like, but you got to get a blood pressure cuff. I want to start tracking your stuff. And his data, to this day, He went.
She loves her data. I love.
Well, yeah. And I'm like, I love data so much because it's like, I'm not guessing what we should do with you. Your body's telling me what the results are so I can better assess what you need. His data was incredible because we added that in, which is not something I typically do. But in his case, we needed to because I always want to meet people where they are. And so after 3 weeks of, enough water, starting to move, more protein, good hearty carbs, which he clearly needed. I mean, this guy was burning like 4,000 calories a day. I'm not even kidding. So we had to really get him fueling correctly, bringing his fats down a little bit. He quit nicotine. Oh, he was drinking 10 Coke Zeros a day. There was just some of these little habity things that we had to cut out.
Yeah.
Lo and behold, did we obviously learn that nicotine spikes blood pressure, pretty much instantaneously. So once we got rid of just a couple of those that he felt he was willing and able to do, within 3 weeks, his blood pressure completely came into normal ranges. Fascinating.
That's amazing.
That alone,
that's so fast.
Yeah, I'm impressed because that's a lot of things to change.
Yeah.
Like almost all at once. It sounds like, or was it more of like a gradual? Like this week, let's focus on water. Next week, let's talk about the nicotine. Next week, or was it just like let's just nip it all in the bud right now? How did that go?
Normally, I glide in slow because it is a lot. Like just the food alone, it's like just focus on protein this week because most people don't even eat enough of that. He was so at a 10 out of 20 on I gotta go and do something now that he was ready to go. And I'm like, whatever you are willing and able to do, that's not gonna be too overwhelming. I'm in. So with the data, I'm always like, great, I want you to track your sleep. I want you to tell me how your digestion's doing. I want you to let me know how much water you're drinking. What are your macros after I've given them to you? So we know like the big pillory stuff. What movement? Just walk 20 minutes a day. Let's just get started slow. He was just like above and beyond with his data, and he started 75 hard.
Oh, did he?
To kick off. Yes, he did.
Okay, that's no joke. That's going to bring us right into something here because I'm going to want to go back to that client in a bit here, but I want to address something that a lot of people are probably thinking about right now, and especially if they went back to look 15 months ago, is that we're going by Scott and Andy in this podcast. Scott, you were. I wouldn't categorize you at rock bottom, but you were at a place where you were over it and you were ready and willing to make a change. And you had just started dabbling with macro counting when we had Claire on.
Yeah. My wife was starting to count her macros, and she'd wanted to do it with me. And I was like, well, I don't know what that means. Go ahead. And I was just kind of copying what she was doing. I wasn't really understanding it until Claire came on 15 months ago. And then it kind of like clicked. I was like, oh, okay, I understand what that is now. And then I joined in the journey with my wife. And one thing that was funny is the last time Claire was on, I don't even know if we talked about this on the podcast, but you'd mentioned that your husband had done the 75 hard. Did we talk about it during the podcast? It might have been a conversation. We had a little bit of a conversation after we recorded the podcast.
Yeah.
And I think it came up then actually. And I was like, yeah, we've been thinking about doing that again because we'd failed the 75 hard like 10 times, I want to say. But like I don't like using the word failure because you learn something every single time, right? So and that's what it was. Like every time we didn't make it, we learned, we didn't make it because we weren't prepared for this. When this happens, we weren't prepared. So next time that happens, we're going to be out of town for a weekend. We know we need to prepare ahead of time better. Or we try to diet because it says just pick a diet. It doesn't say which diet.
Nope.
Pick a diet, whatever you think is going to work for you. And we picked so many wrong diets that they didn't work for us. And so we failed like over and over again. And so it was like after that conversation about like your husband did it and like the macro thing kicking in, we decided to give it a go and then make the diet kind of balance in our macros.
Yeah.
That was our diet part of the 75 hard. And there's a lot of other things like working out twice a day and water intake and a lot of other things on the list for the 75 hard that we needed to tackle. And so we just decided to do it like literally, I think the week after we recorded that podcast. And this time we made it through all 75 days. So it clicked finally, but it did take a lot of missteps to get there.
Yeah. And it's all part of the journey, right? And it's like hiking a mountain. You're going to trip over a rock here and there, but you're going to get to the top as long as you keep moving forward. And your story is an excellent one. But we're all three of us, I'm realizing now, we're throwing out the word macro pretty willy-nilly.
Yeah.
And now this will be a little redundant to some people, but Claire, I'm going to ask you to give us a pitch on macros, if you would.
Perfect. Yes. Macros, short for macronutrients, things that we need in massive quantities when it comes to nutrition. In this case, obviously, it's proteins, fats, and carbohydrates, which all create calories. So you look on a nutrition facts label, you see calories. Well, something's creating those calories, and every food is very different. The makeup is very different. And so there's 4 calories per gram for protein and carbohydrates, 9 for fats. And so any food you eat, when you're looking at that facts label, you can determine, okay, well, am I getting a lot of carbs in this specific thing? Or is it mostly fats? Or is it protein? Or is it a balanced blend? And so the combination of the 3, everybody needs different amounts every day, depending on goals, activity, where you are, your age potentially. It just depends. But I love to coach people on each independent category to determine what it is that you need, and then combine together, that creates the full amount of calories that you consume every day. So playing around a little bit, right? And starting to learn that not all protein is even the same. Not all carbs are the same, and not all fats are the same either. And figuring out that blend so that inside and internally, it's chemistry kind of going on inside, and how your body is going to basically absorb those types of things and use them. And that's what's going to shape a lot of the body composition. I'm a firm believer. I mean, nutrition is 90% of your body composition. The gym is just going to accelerate that.
Yeah.
Building muscle, et cetera. But what you are what you eat. It's not false.
Yeah. So you and I had met up after we did the first one, and you had helped me run some numbers, and I had my numbers, and then I didn't actually, kick things into gear until later or whatever. But what I ended up learning is, my God, my whole life, so many people were brought up to believe that weight loss means marching to a caloric deficit and starving yourself and this and that. To actually do it right, get where you want to be, it's eating enough. Yeah. That is, and now I'm a big dude. I'm 6'2". I know I'm a big guy, and so when it comes to somebody my size getting active, and I know that it's going to bring up more, I struggle every day hitting my protein. Fat, if I need to hit fats, that's easy. Just look at a picture of cheese, and that'll get
that was the hardest part for me because I love
so
cheese.
Hard.
Yeah.
And anytime I'd indulge in cheese, it was like, well, there's my fat for the day.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. So that one, that's a tough one. But getting my proteins in has been just so colossally difficult to where I'm like, I can't. It's the day's wrapping up now. I need to fit in another 30 grams here. Somehow, I'm going to throw up if I eat anymore. So that is something that I greatly struggled with. And I learned that it really is because I'm not eating frequent enough. Mm-hmm. You eat 7 times a day?
I do. I know.
What is that?
It sounds so insane. And again, not everyone does it because, of course, if I'm saying have 130 grams of protein, you got to almost divide that number by however many meals technically you would eat. I personally just can't get in more than 20 to 30 grams at a time.
Yeah.
It's just too much. My stomach's kind of, it's little, and everyone's is technically. So it's just for me, whereas my husband could destroy 60 grams in a given sitting. So it just depends on the person. But again, it's we got to see what works for you. And if it's not, and you can't get enough, it's well, we might have to just add in one more meal. And so many people get married to, they're like, well, I only ate 3 times. Or I'm like, well, you're going to eat 4, just try, wiggle with me, see how you feel. And then they're like, oh, it's not that bad. Or actually I feel better because I'm not as full. Or, oh my gosh, my blood sugar was more stabilized.
Yeah.
Because I was eating a little more frequently. So it's tough. I mean, right, culturally, it's starve yourself. That's how you lose weight. Yeah, you want to be in a deficit, but you also want to make sure you start eating at maintenance for what your body actually needs.
Yeah.
Because so many people underconsume thinking that's what they should do. But if you eat too little, your body's not going to let you lose anything.
Yeah.
Because evolutionarily, you are going to be, caveman. Who knows when you would eat? And our bodies are just designed to hang on.
Yeah.
To keep you alive.
Yeah.
And you go into an energy reserve too, and so you kind of feel like you just need to sit around and do nothing because you're in that deficit. So I found that like the closer I got, I would still be in a deficit, but not enough to feel bad. And that was kind of the key, was just to get right there. And so when I ran my numbers, I made sure I was in a deficit, that I would lose weight, but not too low that I would feel bad. And that changed everything for me.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the other diets, like you said, it's like we've been taught you got to really just, you want to lose weight, consume 1,500 calories a day and burn 3,000 and you're good. And it's like, no, that's you know how hard it is to work out.
Well, that's
that kind of a deficit.
Yeah.
Well, like on paper, it makes sense. It's a caloric deficit, but we're not taking the human element into it, which is, like you said, evolutionarily, the body's like, okay, well, I'm currently dying, so I'm going to hang on to everything I can here. We have to work with it. So you feed it enough 7 times a day, apparently, but you feed it enough and it turns into like a machine, you know, and that's what, I mean, you look fantastic, dude. You absolutely crushed it. And I was telling you earlier, like sometimes old TikToks will pop up and I get a little jump scare at my big puffy buddy.
I do too. I do too. I play break videos on my streams and it'll be like old clips. And so it'll go from current day me to 2 years ago me. And yeah, it's like, it's so funny because like thinking back to that time, I don't remember looking at myself in the mirror and being like, what did you do to yourself? I never like had that real bad, like, oh man, this is problematic. It's almost like it happened kind of slowly over time. COVID didn't help. Got comfortable ordering out food and eating whatever. And it kind of like I gained that weight over time. And so I didn't really see it happen. But then the same thing kind of happened when I started losing the weight. I was kind of losing it so slow, I didn't really notice it until you see stuff like that, where you have like that was me then and this is me now. And it's like, oh yeah, I was way overweight. And I don't remember thinking too much about it at the time. But I just knew the way I felt back then. Like I knew that I didn't have the energy I should. I was foggy brained all the time. I was drinking a lot of alcohol at the time, which I stopped doing. And so there was just a lot of things that I was like, I would like to perform better in life. And I know in order to do that, I'm going to actually need to pull the trigger and make some changes. And that started with the diet, honestly. Like the quitting drinking was huge. And then the macro, like figuring out my balance of macros. And I did have to tweak it. I remember I went on like a website and it's like, okay, I'm this tall, I weigh this much, I work out this much. And it spit out numbers. And I remember trying it for a week and I was like, I feel better, but something still felt off. So I would like add some protein and take away some fat or whatever. And I just started kind of like tweaking it until I felt it. And then I was like, oh, that's my number. And I was still in a little bit of a calorie deficit, nothing major. And I was like, I'm just in this for the long haul. So I don't feel like I need to do this overnight. Cause that's a lot of times people think, I need to like get in that deficit that you're talking about because I want to lose weight now. You know, summer season's coming, swim season's coming. And I'm like, you know what? This time I'm just going to take it slow. If it takes me 2 years, it takes me 2 years. And so I just kind of like, I did it little by little. And then I felt a certain way that I felt like, well, this is the lifestyle now. Yeah. Like I feel like I could live this way forever. Yeah.
That's so
and that's what I needed to find.
Yeah. I love that you said that it's the time, right? Again, here we are in this culture of the quick fixes, right? We have the dopamine hit issue where it's like we have to be satisfied all the time, and we forget like what the journey is like and just the process. And watching those baby 1% every day, which is another thing I feel like with my clients, the data is so imperative because it's showing you, well, I was better than yesterday. I'm like, that's the goal. Be better than yesterday, just anywhere. Like, and over time we get to see these averages and just the improvements, and people are like, oh my gosh, I'm so proud of it. And because I always ask, what are you most proud of this week? Give me anything. And that's been sometimes my favorite conversation we have, because I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't stop and have froyo. I had popcorn today instead of chips. Or, you know, I got up and I went to the gym and I really didn't want to go, but I showed up and I am so happy. Right? It's like those little things, you start to feel so proud of yourself because no one gives you attaboys anymore. You've got to create them sometimes on your own. I mean, I become everybody's little baby cheerleader, but it takes time.
Yeah.
And you want it to be forever. It's like, what diet, right? It actually lasts. Well, this does. And it's not a diet, it's a lifestyle. That part can be hard, but gosh, like, look at you. It's It's amazing what you did.
Thanks.
And I'm literally mind blown because I haven't seen him other than on, YouTube, but it's like,
The camera
wow.
adds 10 pounds too, so you didn't really.
It's just amazing what you did. And like
Thank
you
you.
said, now you can do it forever and you can.
Yeah, like every other like diet, and I know that word is like it spawns a negative connotation for so many people just hearing that word.
Yeah.
But I mean, honestly, a diet just means it is what you eat, right? It's not that big of a thing. But like every diet trend I would try felt like a huge sacrifice, and it's like the Whole30 was great. I learned a lot from the Whole30, but there's no way there's a reason why there's a 30-day cap on it. It's not a lifestyle change.
It's not even a diet. It's an educational process.
Yeah.
It's to learn what your sensitivity
Yeah,
is.
and like all the like diets that are out there kind of have that barrier, I think, to where it's like, yeah, it's okay for a little bit of time, and it's okay. I think it's okay also to like mess with your diet and kind of understand what your body feels like on different intakes. But the macro thing really finally hit like this is the well-rounded way to where I feel satiated all the time. I feel energetic all the time when I'm hitting my numbers, and I can live this way, whether it's in a slight calorie deficit or now I'm just in maintenance mode. Like I'm at where I want to be at and I'm happy here. And I'm just like watching it till be like, okay, well today I have a slice of pizza or whatever. I know what that does because when I was counting macros to begin with and I tried to have a slice of pizza, I saw what it did.
Yes.
And so I know what it does. And I'm like, okay, that's no problem though. Like I'll enjoy, a Frappuccino. I had a Frappuccino this morning. Thanks, Claire. And I can enjoy things in life. And I just understand that like, I'm going to balance that out, and it's fine,
Yeah.
And I think that's great because now I feel like I can live my life like this and I'm not feeling like it's painful.
Yeah, you have the education for
Yeah.
it. I do want to talk a little bit more about the time thing because I think we're kind of hitting on a parable here that's worth understanding. We had a drum instructor back in our day that right around the time that the internet really started to make its presence known to humanity, if you will. And what I mean by its presence known, I don't mean the technology of it. I mean in regards to it was starting to ingrain itself in our lives. I got to give it to him. He noticed very early on. He's like, the internet's ruining everything. He's like, nobody wants to work hard anymore. I'm like, what's the correlation here? And he was very sharp. He's like, because it's instant gratification. And he was right. Mankind had never experienced instant gratification until the internet came along. And you want an answer? Boom, you got it. When we all grew up and you want an answer, well, you got to see if somebody can take you to the library and then use the Dewey Decimal System in the catalog to go find the book. And even the book you got's probably outdated, but you had to work hard to get something is the point. So we learned at an early age that what working for something actually meant. And I'm not suggesting that is gone from humanity. What I am suggesting is that the internet's not doing us any favors. And so since you can get something so fast that when it came to something like weight loss, I think a lot of people were looking for that shortcut. Was it going to be surgery? Was it going to be an injection? Was it going to be a pill? And I'm not trying to dunk on those things. What I am saying is that the way you did it and the way you're teaching people to do it is leaning into what we actually are as people. It takes a while to get way out of shape and it takes a while to get it back. When you go to, like I talked about hiking earlier, you don't show up to the mountain and say, okay, where's the elevator? You tie up, you lace up and go, get moving. It's going to take a while, but you keep going and you're going to eventually be there. And as long as you're at peace with the fact that there is a certain cadence that is in tune with your body's frequency, then things come alive and you realize anything's possible, which is why I want to now get back to your client with all these wins. What a story. I think you said he's 6'4".
Yeah, he's 6'4". And initially his body was trying to be like, it was like, what are you doing to me? It was weird. Like he kind of stalled initially in the weight loss sense. And we started to work more on, let's just fix lifestyle choices. Those are big things that you've clearly been doing for years that we've had to undo because they're not serving you anymore.
Yeah.
And we've replaced them with, great, you got a gym membership. He started to just go walk on the treadmill. He loved basketball and he wanted to be able to play again, but he was large. So it became like, then just walk into the gym and bounce the ball. It was like just these little things that just gave him a little bit of confidence to continue. And It was nuts. So then his body, because it's always seeking, like, what are you doing? It takes a couple of weeks for your body to be like, okay, you're feeding me like this and you're hydrating me like this. And then it starts to like shift.
Yeah.
And so we started to see big changes. And then he was with me 24 weeks. And by the end of that, he had lost 50 pounds by the time we were done.
Oh, wow.
But it was bigger than, of course, that. His energy was so much better. It affected every piece of his entire life. He started to hang out with his friends again. He was a better father. He brought his son to the gym with him. Now they're bonding, playing basketball together. He started to get into weight training a little bit more. Like it was just, it improved his marriage. It was literally like everything that had been so crappy for him for so long, it just bled into his entire life.
Dude.
And it was unbelievable. And he did the most incredible testimonial for me. And it's like, I pat myself on the back, but like, he's like, Claire, you saved my life.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what I would have done.
See,
That's huge.
I think there's something about this gentleman's story that I'm finding interesting. You used a phrase and you kind of glossed over it, but it was a very impactful one. Is that you had mentioned that he was at rock bottom. I had somebody in my life a while ago whose addiction and everything was very, very bad. And I was kept trying to figure out what do I do? What do I say or whatever? And it was actually my wife who was like, this is one of those stories where unfortunately some people need to hit rock bottom. They have to hit rock bottom because they finally realize that there's really only one direction to go if you want to move at all. And it's going to be up. Some people have to hit all the way down there. And that's, rock bottom sounds so terrible. I argue it's a blessing. The fact that sometimes hitting rock bottom and being able to recognize that is an absolute blessing. And this is a story where it sounds to me like there's a lot of motion still with this client, that they're probably still getting, when you realize you're in control and all these new, you're kind of kicking the dust off old happiness, whether it's basketball or, improving your marriage, whatever it is. When you start to realize that and you realize it's because of the choices that you're making, then all these doors open up in regards to what you can do. So are any correlation still or correspondence at all with this person?
Oh yeah. And it was so cool. He came for a Post Malone concert and it was here in the Phoenix area. And he's like, I'm going to be in town because he lives up in Utah. And I was like, oh my gosh, let's get together for breakfast,
Nice.
and we'll do your session in person. It was super fun. But the fact that he was like, I'm going to get on a plane. I'm going to go to this concert where I have to stand for 4 hours.
Yeah.
He's like, I couldn't have done that if I was back, months and months ago. I wouldn't even have had the energy for it.
Yeah.
And so that was really neat to be able to meet him in person. And so then he gave me the testimonial, which was incredible. I mean, I cried for a day because I was so moved by the power of what this is and what this can do. I was like, yes, I helped you do that, but you did that. You did all of it.
Yeah.
Every day you did that. I recently talked to him because that was 7 months ago that we stopped working together. And I'm like, checking in on you, how's it going? Because we are bonded from this point forward. This is I've created these brand new friendships and people I've never even really met. I mean, in his case, I did, but I know so much about your life that you're not telling other people, right? Too, which is pretty incredible. I found out he had insane trauma, but it didn't come out until later.
Whoa.
Which spiraled all of this too. Mm-hmm. And so he had to be very honest and he hadn't said that out loud in years, And so, yes, I think there is some of that going down. When people leave me, what I want for them is that this is life now. I was like, so what's going on? He's like, I am down 80 pounds.
Jeez.
In 10 months. He's like, this is who I am. It became his identity.
Okay. I'm going to say this to people listening. Do this for me. So I would argue that if he's down 80 pounds, then he's probably lost easily over 100 pounds of fat because he obviously put muscle on in the process of this, right? So I'm just going to venture that that's the case. Everybody do me a favor and go Google what 10 pounds of fat looks like. Our gym Our
He
buddy
used to
who
be
owned
in
the
his
gym,
office, right?
he used to
Like
have
a-
in his office what 10 pounds of
Yeah.
muscle looked like
So
and
you
what
could pick
10
it up.
pounds of fat looked
Yeah.
like. Oh, it was unbelievable. Like the muscle, if you remember, was like a little bit bigger than like a baseball, between a baseball and a softball, 10 pounds of muscle, but 10 pounds of fat looked like a giant loaf of bread.
Yeah.
Like it was unbelievable. So like this is the stuff I'm talking, like it was what it's just it's a reality check. You know what I mean? So to the client you speak of, this is what a colossal win that was.
Yeah. And what he helped me do too is be like, oh, I think we might need a little dive a little deeper
Yeah.
into the data.
Yeah.
He gave me so many good additional ideas. I mean, he had an entire spreadsheet for 75 hard.
Yeah.
Like, and this is the book that I read. And he was so like, we created an entire separate system for him because it became like, well, what is it that you need? Like, let's go.
Yeah.
And jump all in, So he was probably the biggest, like I would say transformational in terms of a weight perspective for sure. And a mindset and lifestyle stuff too. But like his was very weight specific. My other client that I would agree is also monumental is more of like the internal. Because yes, there were internal things clearly going on with him and he was shedding that visceral fat, the fat that we do not want, right? Because it's very hard on your organs, et cetera. That's the stuff you want to get rid of. She came to me still with the, yes, I'd like to lose weight. Her number one goal was, I want to get pregnant.
I want to get pregnant.
Yep. I want a family. She's my age. She's 41. They've been trying for years and she kind of like him, rock bottom, emotionally just devastated. What's crazy is she didn't know this. That is also my bread and butter is infertility. And when I'm making emotional, I apologize.
That's fine. You're fine. It's happened before.
It was like going through this process with her. I was like, oh my gosh, this is why it happened. This is why it happened to me. It's so I could do this for her. And this wasn't even anything that I thought would happen. But we started with the weight loss situation. We start with the macro situation, right? We're like, let's just get your eating right. And yeah, we're going to lose hopefully. But I knew what a lot of people didn't know. I know the female body and so many females don't really know their bodies, unfortunately. Again, culturally, we're not taught, but I knew what to look for. I knew what to expect. She says, I, haven't had an actual cycle in about 3 years.
Whoa.
Yep. And I was like, okay, well, getting pregnant will be difficult when we don't have that happening regularly. I was like, so we're going to start tracking all of that. I want to know just symptom stuff. We'll just kind of pay attention. But if anything happens, we're going to start to like really track to see what happens with that. I knew she was like, we're going to go to a fertility specialist. I want to, get their opinion. And I was like, well, guess what? They're going to ask you for crazy data. Because I already knew, because I did it too. I did IUIs, I did IVF. Like I know what it's going to take. I was like, so we're going to just double whammy this, right? After 2 months, because she was with me 36 weeks, she got her period for the first time in 3 years.
Well, what changed? I don't understand what changed in order to bring that back.
So she lost by that point about 15 pounds.
Okay.
Okay.
So, okay.
Or a stone, as she called it, because I couldn't get over that. I was like, what is that? I had to Google it because she's British. Fascinating. It was very cute.
Oh.
So we had been measuring her as well. This wasn't just a scale situation because while the scale, and I'm glad I actually said this out loud, it's just a number.
Yeah.
Okay. Like it so is. People get so married to it. It's like, but no, let's look at your body composition and see what's going on. She's not a mover. She did not work out. This was just, let's fix the nutrition stuff. So she had lost 15 pounds and that visceral fat has just come off. She started to be, we didn't pull blood on her until later. I don't know for sure, but what I think was going on was extremely high cortisol, very high estrogen. And when your body is in both of those, your body hangs on and stores way more than it's ever going to let you lose. And so when you're storing that, she was not eating great. emotionally eating, obviously, then extremely sedentary, when you do not use the energy that you put in, your body only does one thing with it. It stores it as fat. And so she had a lot of midsection visceral fat that we had to, shrink down. And things were changing in her chemically big time, hormonally big time. We didn't get her blood drawn till later on because she ended up going to I'll save the story a little bit. She loses weight. She gets her cycle and she texts me and she goes, "Oh my gosh." And I was like, "Oh my gosh."
Wow.
Okay. I was like, okay, yay. So I was like, start tracking. I want to know symptoms. I want to know everything going on. I want to know what your energy is doing. I want to know how you feel. Like, tell me everything, right? Like whatever you're comfortable telling me, like tell me. Okay. So 1 month goes by. Great. She keeps losing steadily. It's like a pound a week at this point. Beautiful. Just what I want, right? Hey, let's start walking. Let's start doing other stuff. So we're bringing in all these lifestyle shifts. Fine. The next month, oh my gosh, I got it again. Oh my gosh, I got it again.
Wow.
But what was mostly fascinating to me, because I know with women's cycles and your fertility specialist is going to ask, what are your cycle dates and all of this stuff, they started to lessen. They went from like 34 days. Now we're at 32 days. Now we're at 28 days consistently. Okay.
This is blowing my mind.
It blew my mind. So then I said to her, you need to get ovulation strips because now your body's starting to regulate itself. So now we need to know the prime time, right, for conception. We need to know what day that is. And so if you're a woman out there and you've been in this position or you're just like, I struggle too, because most women don't talk about this because it's shameful or whatever, just know there's a lot of great resources for you, but you can check your ovulation with strips, et cetera. So she did. And so we started to watch that data occur. And then we started to learn like, great, this is when the day. And so I was telling her, okay, so this is the day for, happy time with husband. And this is what has to occur. So fine. We went it was like 3 months worth of that. And then I was like, okay, we're anticipating, great. We're going to get another cycle. Let's see what happens this time. I wake up one morning and she sends me a picture.
Oh my gosh.
No, you're creating life.
That's amazing.
At this point.
Positive pregnancy test.
Oh, get out of here.
Let's go.
That's amazing.
Yeah. That's got to be one of the biggest.
I'm literally like in the kitchen at 6 a.m. and I'm screaming and there's no one else. And I even videoed my reaction because I was totally teary. I didn't even know what to do. I called her and I'm like, shut up. Shut up. And she's like, I know.
Wow.
Right. I got chills everywhere. And I just can't. And so I was able to be with her through the entire first trimester. So great. And that was really hard. She did not have resources to, like I did. I'll say that. When I went through IVF, they checked me every 5 seconds. I got to know, I saw a heartbeat at 5 weeks. I was able to, it was just different over there. It's not like that. And that was really emotionally tough for her. She had a little couple of complications, but then she got her ultrasound and baby is there and the heartbeat is strong. And we finished like 3 weeks ago in that final session. And I'm just like, I always ask like, what are you happiest about? Right. But I'm like, clearly we know this one. And, she's like, I just can't believe what we did.
That's incredible. All right. So, and my understanding is that since we last talked to you, even you have expanded your own catalog of understanding in all this, and hormones is a big part of it. I imagine this ties in. What have you learned in regards to how hormones plays a part in all this? Yeah.
So in her case, that was a tough one. I'm kicking myself in hindsight to say, dang. And I always encourage blood work right from the beginning, because then we can check it again and see levels that have improved. Because when you get a typical hormone panel, your PCP is not going to run as much as they should. I would venture to say, go get a naturopath to do it, because they will pull everything. thing. You'll pay out of pocket, but it tells you really where you are. Clearly with her, we were able to change her hormones through the weight loss and your progesterone, which she wasn't really, there wasn't any happening. We increased her progesterone, which is the hormone leading up to your period. That's the point of where the baby can actually attach in the uterine lining. It has to be high enough in order for a baby to even attach. So that's what's going on. She wasn't making any of that before.
Okay, I want to dissect this a little bit. So I'm embarrassed to admit that's the first time in my life I've ever heard that word, progesterone. I've never heard that. What is there something? So the diet itself increased it?
Yeah, basically we shifted the estrogen down because the sex hormones all play a balancing role together in the human body or the female body. Because men, you are more testosterone, you have some estrogen, but it's not, your progesterone is non-existent because it doesn't have to be. You're not going to ever hold the baby.
Got it.
Female cycles roll where it heightens and it drops and it goes in a cycle like so, which is why you have a cycle. So it's either going to trigger, hey, there's a baby there or there's not. And then, you have a cycle, and that's typically very normal for most women, et cetera. In her case, in the beginning, she wasn't even creating progesterone at all, or it was extremely, extremely low.
Sure.
Because she wasn't even getting a period. So then with the weight loss, we've balanced out, causing the estrogen to come down, the progesterone to now cycle through. And so the cycle started to actually do what they were supposed to do.
This is crazy.
Because we were too high in one hormone and the other hormone there wasn't enough. There was nothing. The body was very disturbed inside. There was just too much of this, not enough of this going on. And that's unfortunately what can happen with people that are super overweight or have too much visceral fat. Not everyone, but in her case, that was what happened.
Right. And
then the progesterone was able to stay strong and the baby clearly attached well, right? It was fascinating. Testosterone's a different one. Men typically, like when my husband did 75 hard and ate more of that protein and started to really lock in, bummed we didn't pull his blood either. But he was like, oh my gosh, I feel so different in every way. Libido, muscle mass. And it was like, well, yeah, you're actually fueling differently, more protein. Your carbohydrates are, good, but your fat is a little bit lower. Again, this was like, you drop visceral fat, right? It's fascinating. I don't know if I could find a video somewhere of like literally the internals of what's going on. That's just based on, because I'm not a medical doctor, right? But it's like, I'm thinking about how it works. And I'm like, that's what had to have happened with her. It's just fascinating that we were able to do it. And that when you have too much excess of certain things, it can change your hormonal structure.
Yes,
inside.
that's right. And that's kind of where I'm going with it, is that this is indicative of the fact that a proper diet or getting the right macro count and getting your body balanced out, the benefits are far greater than, going down in a clothing size or whatever, or feeling a little bit better about yourself. The benefits are kind of maybe for some people meeting yourself for the first time in a long time, is that you're waking up that lion or that lioness that has been dormant inside, and you get to experience a life on a whole new level. The client you're talking, the 6'4" guy, like that's a big deal. He has this whole chunk of memories of traveling to go do this concert and all that. He's living an entirely different life. And it's not because his pants size is smaller. It's, you know what I mean?
There's so many other things.
So many.
You mentioned social anxiety. I had that too. Andy used to give me a hard time about not wanting to ever leave my house. And since and it's not a vanity thing, it's definitely more brain chemical thing going on. I'm much more comfortable now going out in public, being around people, sparking up conversations with people I don't know that well, where before I had kind of extreme anxiety about that. And so like my anxiety levels have decreased considerably since I've been on this health journey, which is wild, because you don't think about that. Most people just think about the vanity part, how I look in the mirror, am I happy with my body shape? and all that. But it was much more mental for me, I found, not just the energy, but what it did to my levels of anxiety, confidence, and all that other stuff came into play, of course. But it all just kind of like came together once I found the right balance of what to actually put in my body. And then exercise, of course, was big for me too, because I just find that it gives me like the endorphins I need when I exercise to like really have a good day. Basically, if I can tell the difference in my day if I don't work out in the morning versus when I do work out, my entire day feels different. And so like it's kind of like marrying those two together. And I agree with you. You said like 90% is the intake, the macros. But like that other 10% also made a big difference for me too, the working out and being, and it doesn't mean like lifting heavy weight every day. It could just mean getting outside and walking around the block, getting some sun is great, vitamin D. All those things together is like what absolutely made a huge change in the way that I operate as a human being.
100%. I love that you're like, it changed how I felt about myself. Like we say, I feel like we do that when we're kids, or you say that to your kids, but there's no difference between being 5 and feeling insecure and being 45 and feeling insecure. Mm-hmm. If you don't feel good in your body, whatever that means, then everything else is going to be jaded or not as good. So how do we get there? And everyone's different. That might be, we go back to the gym. Some people are like, absolutely not. I'm like, then good, just go walk outside. You don't have to go to the gym for 2 hours a day to maintain a good body. I think we just got to undo the cultural constant things that we've always heard. And I think it's fun. I don't know. Did you kind of have fun? I mean, I know it was work to do what you did, but gosh, like everyone, you're the best experiment you have. So I'm sure it was fascinating to watch the change over time, and things were probably really fun in some ways, like how proud you were of yourself that you just like stuck to it, right? And to be on the other side and look back, you're just like, gosh, that wasn't that long. We just said it was like, this felt like 6 months ago.
Yeah. It did fly by. And I was really, really lucky because my wife was in it with me. And, I think it really does help to have somebody that, because there are those times, it's not easy. They don't call it 75 hard for, it's called that way for a reason. And even if you're not doing the 75 hard, you're embarking on something that's not going to feel natural at first, because you're pushing yourself to do things. I mean, like I still to this day don't like weighing my food. Like putting it on a scale and and I have a macro counter that an app that I have to log everything, and it takes time. And I don't always do it still, but during the time I was like in it to win it, I was every bit. If something was going in my mouth, I'm logging it. I didn't like doing that. But I had to kind of like get over that and just realize like I am embarking on something that is going to make my life better in the long run, and I would like to live longer. I'm watching my kids grow up, and there's a chance that they're going to have kids, and I would like to be, have energy to spend time with potentially my grandkids. And if I don't do something, then I'm not going to want to do that. And so you start to weigh these, like, what's the discomfort level versus like, what's the benefit that I could get if I just stick with a discipline. And I just kind of like forced myself to go through that. Yeah. And that's when I started like realizing the difference and like really getting excited about it. And now, like I said, if I miss the gym, I kind of feel bad. So now I get excited about going to the gym. I get excited about, eating right. And I still enjoy the things in life. Like a lot of people think like, oh, you got to give up all the things you enjoy in life. And that's not true, because I have my vices. Like I eat an ice cream bar every night. It's Greek frozen yogurt, but still I allot for that on purpose, because I like, that's my little treat for like having a good day, and doing all the other things properly. And so you can still do things, and it's all just about finding balance. And I know that's like so cliche, because you hear it all the time, just find balance. And people make it sound so easy. Yep. And honestly, it's not, it's something that you really have to want and realize that it's not going to happen overnight, and the benefit of it long term is just worth it in the end. And you just have to keep that in mind. And I had to remind myself constantly that it was worth it, because there was days I didn't want to. I didn't want to weigh the food. I didn't want to go to the gym. Like, you're going to feel that. It's natural. But if you can like put it into perspective and realize like how much worth it's going to be in the long run, you can kind of like force yourself to do it. And that's what I found.
You said like so many things that in my head, I'm like, okay, hold on, remember it all. I was like, yes. Because when people come to me, my 12-week program, it's like, it's just 12 weeks though. You can do anything really for 12 weeks. And if you hit it hard and you're really committed, you will be mind blown what you can do in 12 weeks. Yeah. Now imagine what 6 months would look like, right? Like you could be a completely different person in a year. We're already halfway through February, right? Like 2026, here we are. That's 10 months away before it's no longer 2026. Holy cow, what you could do in 10 months.
Yeah.
It could be a complete transformation. But then you're saying as a dad, right? I want to be around for my kids. You're also setting an example now for your daughter.
Yeah, that's huge.
Who is watching what you're doing, watching what your wife is doing, and you are teaching her the power of nutrition. She is an athlete and she has to fuel her body very specifically to be the best athlete she can be. She's also growing a ton. So many kids undereat or they don't eat the right things. As a parent, it is just, I mean, filtered into everything that I do with my kids. It changes how you feed your kids. And now they're better. My 4-year-old can be like, this is where my protein is, you know, like that's pretty awesome. Yeah. Cause that's not most kids. Cause again, it's a culture. We don't talk about that.
We don't talk about it. We don't, you know, when I was a kid, there was, I would say probably around zero discussion around nutrition. And amongst I'm not just saying like just in my family, but just among my friends, definitely like scholastically when they had the food groups and stuff. But when you're like, if I did like a school lunch or whatever, when you combine a societal need to feed a lot of people on a budget, I promise you healthy foods are not going to be on the other side of that. Right. Like that's what that sounds like kind of a brutal declaration, but that's what I believe. And we were little kids. So whatever you eat, you're going to consume and process or whatever. But over time, it's going to be a different gig. It wasn't until far later that I started to learn more about nutrition. Way later, I would say. I mean, I would actually argue recently. So to that end, I feel like I want to say that you touched on something in regards to how it bleeds down into your kids too, right? What you've learned bleeds down into your kids. Also, what you've not learned bleeds down into your kids. So that's huge that you have the knowledge that you do and what you're doing, and it's an implication of what of the ripple effect that comes from making a change like this. Now, Claire, you had also said something. It was something around the terms of if you don't like the way you look or about your own body or you don't feel comfortable in your own body, you don't feel good in your own body. I want to unpack that a little bit because one thing I don't want to do, and this is not me trying to sidestep a landmine. This is not what this is, but this conversation is not designed to say that if you are overweight or if you are outside the norm of what our culture told you you're supposed to be, that you should feel bad about yourself. I personally don't subscribe to that. I don't think that for a second. This is only aimed at the people that they do want to be in a different place in their life. They have seen where they're at and they do want something different. Those are the people that we're talking to, because at the end of the day, Claire, you are you're an incredible cheerleader. You have not only the educational background, but you know what it is to drive somebody. You have the education, you know what it is to follow up. But I think the most important component of you and your business is that you have a genuine compassion for others. It's very, 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 very real. And so you want to connect to those people. You want to do that. So here's the question I don't love to ask, but I got to know because I'm a curious person. Since you have that connection, that means that their wins, it's a version of your wins. You're clearly aware that while you're able to bring this vehicle of cheerleader and education, it's up to the person. They got to do it. They got to pull the trigger. They have to do it. And at the end of the day, they got themselves across the finish line. I think that we all know that. But you're absolutely right to feel those wins when they do that. I can't imagine you're batting 1,000 because sometimes the horse is just not going to drink when you take it to water. So how do you manage those cases?
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. I mean, there have been people, like I have a client currently came to me with a lot of different health things. And I was very honest at the beginning, obviously, right? Like I'm not a nurse. I'm not a doctor. We can work through just little things. I think wherever I can tweak and find or research or help, we're going to do that. And everybody's been so different. I have not had one client the same as a different client. Some people come ready to go. They think they want weight loss, but now this just becomes a mindset journey, right? The power of collecting that data every day opens the mind in just such an incredible way, because now it is before us literally on how you are interpreting your success. I'm not putting it in some, magical like scale or something. I'm literally having people evaluate every day and analyze every day where they feel they are. And so these columns, right? There's one for sleep and digestion and energy. But I also ask, like, what are your celebrations today? Every single day, you've got to give me something.
Yeah.
Every day, I want a challenge if there is something that rises as well. And what that tends to do for people is they say, wow, like, I don't love this area still, but I'm doing really good over here. Like this part improved a ton. And then weird, oh, it was maybe sleep. Whoa, that completely changes my day because I'm sleeping better or I'm just recovering more or whatever. And so when certain areas aren't great week to week, because we meet once a week to talk about all the data, then it's like, okay, well, let's break it down. And we're going to pick 3 things that you're going to focus on that can attack just that one goal. So it makes it chunkable. It makes it easier to digest. And then also the shame becomes a lot less. And the frustration of not maybe doing so well somewhere becomes a lot less because it's not an all or nothing situation.
That right there.
It's like, we'll get there.
Yeah.
It may just take a little bit longer. Or you know what? We're going to try this strategy instead because that other thing that I suggested, maybe it just didn't work.
Yeah.
So let's try this instead. And so many come to me with well, I can't go to the gym for an hour. I'm just not going to go. And it's like, no, give me 5 minutes then.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And they start to realize the power of the 1%.
Yeah.
Baby increases. And so at the end, it becomes great. What did you learn? What did you get out of it? But pretty much every time it's at least self-awareness. There's a better mindset. They have a better relationship with food. They move now.
Yeah.
They drink more water, right? Just like these basic little things. So yeah, sometimes I've got to talk them up, but I have so much data to pull that no matter what, we're going to have a positive in there somewhere. Yeah. So I can kind of compliment sandwich it in some senses. So there's always going to be something good and maybe not so great. And we're going to keep working at that. And if I can't find it for you or figure it out for you, then we're going to find somebody that can.
Yeah. This is amazing. All right. So life coach, macro coach, now you have some acumen in the hormone dynamic of it. So this has been just great having you back on. And for anybody who doesn't know, the reason you're in our lives at all is because I met you through my wife, who you were her life coach for a while there. And you offered a value to her that stretches much further than the macro piece, because you do learn about the person. You learn everything about who they are. You're not just getting metrics on them. You're getting some sort of weird metrics on their soul. It's an interesting thing, but you're learning who they are, And so it got to a point to where if my wife had a stressful weekend coming up, whether it was maybe a cheer competition or whatever, because she's a cheer coach, how am I going to manage this or whatever? Sometimes she'd have a session with you and you knew how to talk to people, which I'm not going to even ask you to explain it, but I don't know how you just know how to do that. That's typical. I mean, there's a lot of people that go, they dedicate their lives to understanding how to engage with others on a deeper level. It seems to just be, I think your teaching background has more to do with a lot of this than we're talking about here. Yeah. You learn how to connect with people in a very different way. I can tell you, I am very excited to see where your business is going to continue to go. We're going to put obviously all your information into the description of everything, and I'll be checking in with you again. I'm bumping into you in the gym all the time, anyways.
I know.
I love hearing,
so fun. I love
hearing stories about how many lives you're changing.
Yes,
like that's incredible. Like that's just got to feel so good at the end of the day.
It's unreal.
So rewarding.
I was so meant to do this. It's weird how, and anyone listening to it's like, please don't think that where you are is like the way it has to be.
Right.
I mean, I left teaching at 40 and started this whole new career, terrifying, just was like, I think I'm going to do this and I'm going to go all in. It's been terrifying. It's been hard. It's been the unknowns. I've cried some days, but it's been worth every dang second. And the program that I offer is the same way, right? It's like, just, you can change. It doesn't matter what your age is, but think long-term, it's not about just like, am I going to feel better tomorrow? You want to live as long as possible too, right? Like, what can we do now to get you a very full and healthier life?
And see that right there. That when you said you want to live as long as possible, I think that a lot of people are focusing on the word long. Me personally, I'm focusing on the word live, to where I do want to live long possible, but I want to actually be alive. Yeah. And that was what made the difference in me in jumping careers, is that while it is scary, and it was scary for you and it was scary for you, it was different because I was terrified, but I was feeling something. Before, it was just in a cube and just kind of killing time until time killed me. That's all it was. It wasn't until I was able to jump over and like I'm scared every day. So are you. It's scary every day, but it's a very human feel. I'm very alive. So I do want to live for a long time, but I want to live during that time.
And to its fullest.
And then I want to be able to say yes to anything.
Yeah.
If I'm in Mexico and you got to haul into a boat in the middle of the waves with your backpack, which I just did 2 weeks ago, or I canoe to a rainforest, I want to be like, got it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, I want to be able to do anything.
Yeah.
But you got to take care of yourself to do it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That was a funny little story there, because I was in Hawaii several years ago. And we did this like excursion, and I was not in great shape, but I also was like a week and a half off of hernia surgery. So I really shouldn't be doing anything. And there was like a zip line thing. And now granted, I think I would have been able to do this had I not had the surgery, but I don't want to blame the surgery because I was genuinely like really out of shape. Big guy and inertia like that. And so I grabbed onto the zip line and I did the jump, and it was just off. And I almost did like a flip in the air when I hit the water. You know what I mean? Because it was over water, but I couldn't even hang on. The hernia surgery was it's not helping me, but also being really overweight and really out of shape. That was really what was doing me in. But I look at the times when I was in really good shape, and I'm getting in better shape now, that all the different things I can do now that I just take for granted, because once upon a time, I couldn't really do it, but now I actually feel alive. So that's,
being able to move is huge.
Yeah.
Like we definitely take it for granted. I was very, I wasn't doing a lot of moving, during COVID, and spent a lot of time in front of my computer and recording videos and stuff like that. And you kind of get stuck, And so it was really hard to get moving again. And I found my way just by taking it one step at a time, like we talked about. And now I'm able to, go to my daughter's volleyball private lessons and chase volleyballs around the gym for an entire hour without even getting out of breath, and it's like the old me 2 years ago would have just sat in the bleachers and just not wanted to move. I would sweat just watching her, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And now I can run laps around the gym like it's no problem. And
she's going to remember that.
Oh yeah.
It's like these little things we take for granted. I think that mindset of gratitude and having gratitude somewhere every day. Like, I went back to my faith this past year, and I've just been really very happy to say, like, thank you for the opportunities. Thank you for the movement. Thank you for letting me pick that up. Just like the determination and, flowing through me even when I meet with clients, because you're right. That work can be really hard. It can be very emotionally taxing sometimes for me, or it's frustrating where I'm like, I don't know what to tell them today. Or, that can get really tough, but that's helped a ton. Cause again, I think the mindset is everything, but your perception is your reality. So how do you change the perception?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the key.
We said at the end of the last time we had you on, we had mentioned to everybody watching and listening that I was like, some of you are your ears perked up in this, and this might be the sign that you were waiting for to pull the trigger. The What's Stopping You podcast was a big one. The Claire on the first time was a big one. The truth is this: is only you know. Only you know if it's time, because it's not always time for everybody.
Yep.
If the time's not right, it's most definitely not going to work for you. So only you know if this is something that you want to do. And if it is, I would encourage you to at least look into Clarity Concepts. Like I said, we're going to have your links in there and check it out. There's just countless success stories. But you are sort of the whole package in this world, to where you walked the talk. You have the education, you have the education background of being a teacher. But like I said, all of that, I believe, is supplemental to your very genuine connection with people. And I think that's what separates you. So I'm very excited to see where your business goes. I want to thank you for your time and being back on our show. It was an absolute blast. And
thanks for having me.
We'll catch up with you in the gym and see what's next.
Yes. Thank you for the opportunity again. This is totally my passion. So thank you for letting me do it.
Yes.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. You were a big part of it. I have to say, like that was the spark. I might've been getting close, but I think having you on last time was like that extra push I needed to get started on my journey.
Well,
so
thank you. The power of a conversation, right?
Yeah.
It's amazing what could happen.
Incredible.
Yeah. All right. Look her up, everybody. We'll talk to you next time.